This game brings back so many memories. But this is only one of two that we get those beautiful sounding 2.4 litre V8s. Cinematics. Beautiful. You'll have to bear with me today because me and my sniffles are not on point. Track first come out, I did always used to struggle there. Let's see if we can go DRS all the way around these three right-handers. The answer to that is no. Right, let's have a proper go at it this time. Not messing about. Yeah, Kerr's DRS. DRS, I think you could use at any point during the qualifying session, if my memory serves correctly. This obviously being the first of Lewis Hamilton's 6 wins, I believe, in Texas. I will have to fact check that though. Lewis was very, very proficient around Coda. Still got a full tank of Kerr, so we're going to release that now. Now I always miss my braking boards here. But because these cars weren't very good on their brakes, I think the braking boards were a little bit further. But they were such light cars. Such a legendary livery. Anybody who loves Formula 1, there's a few liveries that stand the test of time. And that would be, obviously, Senna's livery, this livery. The last few corners now. 1:39.3 is what I'm looking for to beat the race fastest lap. Ended a bit early, but it should be working. That's fine. Now, we are nowhere near that 1:39. We are a good 3 seconds off. But let's move on to the next one. 2013 now then. You can already see there's quite a big visual change to this track. No DRS whenever we want. And the start line has moved back a little bit. Game's looking much more refined and a little less cartoony. Obviously, this was the race that Sebastian Vettel actually got his 8th consecutive victory. This was such a fun game to play back in the day. With all the classic content, the classic cars, classic tracks. Now, I don't remember, or I haven't written down what the fastest lap actually was. We do have a few stats being. This race was actually Red Bull's 40th fastest lap overall. And that little Frenchman, known as Romain Grosjean, well, he actually finished second in this race. Can you believe that? Grosjean finishing second and not crashing somebody out. Car feels very, very easy to spin under acceleration. Quite a bit of understeer. Going around some of these corners. It is a default setup, so not expected too much. But I must say, the leaps in the car models and the track models are fantastic. We were that slow on this occasion that was actually slower than our 2012 time. But we did have a few mistakes. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. F1 2014 now. Obviously, this was the first year of those V6 hybrids, and it was dominated by Mercedes. So of course, we're in the 2014 Mercedes. So obviously, 2014 being the year that Mercedes started to dominate the world of Formula 1. This race did actually happen to be Lewis's 32nd overall F1 race victory, which did make him the 32nd most successful driver of all time. This was also his 5th consecutive victory in a row. And it was Mercedes' 10th 1-2 of the season. I think also at this race, him and Nico battled quite hard throughout the whole race. I think the championship might have got decided here. But as terms of the game, this game wasn't represented very well. It didn't look very good. It was basically a carbon copy of 2013, just with different cars. And the sound of the cars, worst thing I've ever heard. This whiny, high-pitched drum of a sound. But overall, these cars were the pinnacle. I still think that was a bit slower than the 2013 versions of the car, but it was a start. Nothing much has changed track-wise either. It's pretty much carbon copy of 2013, as I'd already said. But these cars had so much understeer, both in game and in real life. As you can see there, that should be flat out. Maybe a little lift, but we must continue. And I'm so happy for this to be the last game that I use controller on. So 148, so that's all, what, 6 seconds slower than the 2013 version. But let's move on to F1 2015. So here we go then, F1 2015, second generation of these hybrid V6s. Now over the next couple, you will only see the Mercedes car, as it was only Mercedes that dominated over this time period. But this car is on default and it does feel very understeery, should I say. So it might be quite difficult to get through these S's without understeering through them. But we are now on the G920. So if the driving looks better and smoother, that is why. Still probably won't be very fast. And I still don't think these cars were faster than the later year V8 versions. We're back straight now. And I could say definitely an improvement on the 2014 version. But there was a very poor releasing game. No career mode, no creative driver. Felt bare minimum for a game. Now let's see if we can take this flat out. In the 2014 cars, we couldn't. So let's just see if we can do it in the 2015 cars. No, I did have to lift quite a bit. So we're not quite there with the flat out part there, that triple right-hander. But we're coming up to the start-finish line now. And we do 2:42.2. I can't remember if that was faster than the 2014 time. I imagine it probably is by a little bit. But let's switch over to F1 at 2016 now. And just before we do that, if you could please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I hope to bring out more videos like this. So let's get on to F1 2016. F1 2016 now. Of course, this race was won by the great Lewis Hamilton. which happened to be his 50th career race win. Now, this was actually a year that I didn't get to play much Formula 1. I became a lorry driver for the first time. Get some stutters going through there. But yeah, I got my lorry driving license, so I spent a lot of my time out on the road working. I didn't actually get much time with F1 2016. But the track feels like it was ported over from 2015. It, probably a bit more vibrant in the colours. But other than that, it does look fairly similar. As I've just noticed my camera's froze. Don't turn that off for a quick second. Broke a bit early into there. But yeah, the game, can't really say what it was like at release. And I can't really say what it was like after a couple of the patches. But what I would like to know is, can this generation of car get around these three right-handers flat out? The answer to your question is no. In fact, I had to lift more now than I did in 2015. Because I didn't validate my time. Not worried about that though. But yeah, that was a lap. The 2016 Mercedes F1 car. Now let's move over to F1 2018. Ooh, F1 2018 now. Now obviously this year, the late great Kimi Räikkönen won his last ever race here in F1. Fantastic job. Now you might be wondering why I missed F1 2017. To answer that question is I did have to go out and buy all these games, and I could just not find a decent price for F1 2017. So, if you're okay with missing it, then it is what it is, but I was not paying 50 quid for a game that's nearly 8 years old, whereas I managed to get all these other games fairly cheap considering, and I already owned 2018 through to 24 anyway. But yeah, now track wise, the same as it has always been. I don't think this has had much of an upgrade for a few years, but car wise we had a big change in the cars. The car's much wider. Obviously we have these hyper soft tyres, ultra soft tyres, and of course we have this halo that was introduced to protect the drivers' heads. Ooh, I'm getting so much understeer there. It's nice to know that I'm still faster than my Ghost all these years later. Now this will definitely be flat out. More downforce, more grip from the tyres. As I invalidate my lap. Deary me. But yeah, this F1 2018 will always have a fond memory within me. Yeah, that's F1 2018. But let's move on to our next one, F1 2019. F1 2019 now. And then this was the year that Valtteri Bottas won for Mercedes. But it was also the year that Lewis Hamilton claimed his 6th world title. And I believe it was the second time he managed to do it in America, being quite early on in the season. These cars, again, we were coming up to the era where the cars were just ridiculously fast and had so much downforce. It was unnecessary amounts of downforce. I seem to be getting a hell of a lot of understeer through these corners. But visually, this game definitely had... But visually, America definitely had some visual upgrades. Looks a lot crisper. The sponsorships have changed slightly. I don't think back in these times, they could use the real world sponsorships. Now, obviously, because we have missed F1 2017, I will be doing F1 2020, even though the race wasn't held that year. But we'll do it in a special car, I think. Try and make up for not doing a 2017 run. But again, here we go. That's a lap round Circuit of the Americas in a 29 version of an F1 Mercedes car. So let's move on to F1 2020, where I might jump in a classic car. Now, I know I said I would do a classic car, but this was the year the fastest F1 car ever made, the Mercedes W11. And I think it would just be wrong for me to not drive that car around COTA. So let's take this W11 around COTA and see what it could do, because I do think we were robbed of a good... So let's take the fastest F1 car ever made around Texas. Now, with this coming out in the lockdown, during the Rona pandemic, I did get to play it quite often. Still wasn't very good at it, but I did get to play it quite a lot. But these cars were so fast, so much downforce was generated, that these S's were just so nice to take. Although on these default setups, very understeery. Now, I might be mistaken, but I can't remember the 29. But at the start-finish straight, we did have official branding, the Armco sponsorship of this race. But I always forget, with these cars, the braking performance was so good that you could brake so much later into most corners. This is the penultimate, second to last year of this generation of car before we moved on to the ground effect cars. Such a beautiful thing to drive. There you go. A lap around Circuit of the Americas in the world's fastest F1 car. Let's move on to F1 21 now. Here we are then. 2021. I'm just going to steal somebody's setup, why not? But yeah, 2021 we all know is probably the greatest F1 season, and probably also the worst F1 season if you was a Hamilton fan. Here we go then. 2021. Max Verstappen was the winner, so we'll be driving his car. Now, arguably, this was the greatest season to ever happen within F1. You got the legend Lewis Hamilton going up against the young gun Max Verstappen, who, in my opinion, was very aggressive and got away with a lot that season. But you could just see how much downforce this generation of car had. And obviously being the last year before the ground effect cars came in. But we are back on a comfortable piece of hardware in my direct drive. A good old Cama C12. Now, the brakes in these cars were so much better. But race-wise, pretty good race. I mean, it was the most attended Formula 1 race in history, with official figures saying around 400,000 people attended this race weekend. Getting so much understeer in this car right now. But this is arguably one of the better EA published F1 games. Before they went to all this EA-ification that they do with every title they do. The 137.8. You see how much more faster these cars are. 2022 now. And again, it was a year Max Verstappen won in the first year of these ground effect cars. And as you can see now, track has got all new sponsoring. So get lost going into the first corner. Now my wheel is not set up right for this game. But I do remember playing this when it came out. But I say remember playing it. I spent the first 4 days trying to figure out how to set up my wheel. It turns out I just couldn't set it up. I think I spent like 60 quid on this game. And I couldn't play it for a good 2 weeks after release. And after that I just didn't really play it at all then. But this is one of those ones that got away from me. First full proper EA release of F1 20. Get my words out. First full release under EA for F1. But obviously, of course, the Red Bull team is on their car perfectly. Went on to dominate 22. Took a lot for other teams to catch up. I mean, Mercedes this year were notably shit. They just got it all wrong with their zero side pods. Thoughts? Definitely in these machines, you can brake so much later than the earlier versions of the F1 cars. Now that was a slower time than my 2021 version, but they were pretty much the fastest cars of all time. But let's get on to F1 23. Oh, F1 23. Again, the third year that Max Verstappen won here. Well, not only did he win here in the third year, this was his 50th race victory. And his 15th of the season. Now the difference between, I think, Red Bull's domination for 2022 to 2023 compared to Mercedes. Mercedes could always be beaten. I think Red Bull spent many of these 2 years not even being able to be challenged. Although they are facing the consequences now, as we've seen in 2024. A couple of other things did happen in this race. The legend and myth himself, Logan Sargent, managed to get himself his first points. And also, a little Japanese man himself, Yuki Tsunoda, got his first maiden fastest lap. I can't remember watching this race. I think I did watch the highlights, and from the highlights, it's quite a boring race. I think Max just took it from pole to the race victory without much of a challenge. But again, the second year of these ground effects cars were beautiful. Don't also drive. And we move on to F1 24. F1 2024. Not long after the race car in real life. Controversial. FIA obviously getting involved again and choosing who they want to win. I've just realised that the racing line is on. Not to worry. But yeah, I very good race. Quite shocked by Leclerc winning the race, but he did do a fantastic job. And I think that's a signal of intent, and I think Ferrari are back in this Constructors' Championship now. I think they're probably a good firm favourite to win. The track again just improves every year, gets better looking. Haven't got this wheel set up very well, but the car sounds fantastic. Now with these ground effect cards, we can take this flat out without having to worry, unlike our 2014 counterparts. We get a bit of oversteer on exit. But I want 36.3. Definitely the fastest cars of this generation. That brings us to the end of this little tour around all the F1 games, revisiting the Circuit of the Americas track in 12 F1 games. By all means, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stick around because we have plenty more coming. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one.